I'd like to get your thoughts also on some new research from authors, including the former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, suggesting that the so-called natural rate of unemployment, the level of joblessness that's consistent with price stability, has gone up since the pre-pandemic era, up to something like 4.9% from 3.6% before. Does that suggest that we should expect unemployment to get up to 5%, maybe a bit more than 5% before inflation is truly brought under control?
Well, that's a deep question in the sense of, right, that's suggesting the mechanism through which this is going to work is through a Phillips curve relationship between inflation and unemployment. And as you probably, some of your listeners know, right, the Phillips curve has been really flat. So that mechanism may not be the mechanism through which this will work. You know, there are other estimates that suggest that the natural rate of unemployment hasn't moved up because there was a good theory that why during the pandemic it could have gone up, and that was about matching efficiency. Was it harder for people to find jobs? Was it taking longer to find jobs? That doesn't seem to be characterizing this labor market. At this point, I think that's not what's characterizing this. I think it's just the economy had very, very strong demand, and employers wanted more workers than were available, and that's what's still true in the data that we're seeing. I do think that we'll see some increase in unemployment as we go through this cycle, because again, labor demand is outstripping labor supply, and we might see some of those monthly numbers adjust. But we need to have that moderation happen in order to make sure we get back to a healthy economy in terms of price stability that's necessary for that healthy labor market sustained over time. And so again, the transition, every month we could see some different data. I think we have a narrow path to actually engineer this so that we don't see a strong increase in unemployment, but we'll have to see. We have to see how this evolves. And that's why the watching of the data and watching of what's happening in the economy is going to be very, very important as we go through this. The economy is transitioning. Some of what we're seeing is part of that transition, but the moderation we've seen in some of the numbers in activity have not yet shown through to any kind of moderation on the inflation side. And the inflation is hurting a lot of people. So again, this isn't really a choice now between labor versus prices. This really is a necessary if we're going to have a strong labor market going forward and a healthy labor market going forward. We're going to need to get price stability, and this is the way we're going to do it. So I don't really see a trade-off here at all. I think this is just a necessary thing that we have to do in order to get back to price stability.